Hey y'all, welcome to part two of my Father Effect series. And my name is Iana Ma'at. I am the co-founder of BLAM and the founder of The Art of Overcoming, where I help women to release, to relax, to let go, to do their work, to identify their patterns, the things that are standing in the way, and help them to really cultivate and create the life, the love, and the connection with God that they know they deserve and desire. So, I have to be honest. I'm not looking forward to recording this video today. But I'm doing it. I'm being obedient. My mantra, one of my mantras right now is that I am in service. My family watching a game, the basketball game, so you may hear some noise. But I am in service. I am in service to my purpose. I'm in service to my call. I'm in service to, if but just one person who needs to hear this today. I'm in service. And so when I take my focus off of myself and my own resistance and I focus on being in service, things shift and things change. So if you have not watched part one of this Father Effect series, which I released on Father's Day, then you can check out in the notes below this video. You can check out the link to that and check out the first part and then come back and watch this, okay? But I'm picking up where I left off, and today I want to unpack more about the impact, particularly and specifically of fathers on daughters and that relationship, because I am examining and sharing my story with my own daddy, my biological father, my bonus daddy, who's really my daddy, and the father of my children. And I'm going to talk about how they've all impacted me. But the first thing I just want to just kind of put out there, and I want everybody to understand, is that everybody doesn't digest absence, any kind of absence for that matter, but for the purposes of our conversation, father absence in the same way. We all have different personalities. We all have different defenses, different ways of seeing things, different ways we try to protect ourselves. So my story, may resonate with you and some of the what I share. And other parts, you may be like, oh, I kind of had a similar kind of relationship, but I don't think that I show up that way or I've ever showed up that way. But this is what I want you to really pay attention to. What I have learned through my own healing work and through my years of working with women is this: not even having a relationship with your father becomes a relationship unto itself. So all of us are impacted. Our fathers affect us no matter what. The absence, even the gap, the longing. I don't care if it's down in the pit of your stomach, if it's really down you in your belly, you've numbed it out, right? It shapes you. It shapes you. It shapes how you see yourself. It shapes how you see the world. It shapes how you show up in relationships, how you relate to other people, not just in intimate relationships, but just with people, period. And a lot of times, there are stories that we've told ourselves. I've heard many young girls say this, and it's really a coping mechanism. I can't miss what I never had. I mean, my daddy ain't been around. I don't know who he is. I'm good. My mama is my daddy. Well, let me be clear. Your mama is not your daddy. I know plenty of people who give mothers Father's Day cards. And I know it's all from a place of love and honoring and respect. But I just want to gently present you with the option to understand that your mother is your mother and your father is your father, even if you don't know them, even if you're not in a relationship, even if you are like I used to be, like, damn that nigga. You know what I'm saying? That's how I used to be. There's still a difference between a daddy and a mommy, okay? So, or a mother and a father, however you want to say it. And so today, I just want to share a little more about my dad and how my relationship and lack of relationship with him shaped me, and how it impacted my relationship with other people, with my boyfriend who became my husband, and just everybody, but most importantly, with myself. Okay, so I'm going to go and pull up some of my notes here. I think I stopped off last time talking about my relationship, and like I was talking about my parents got divorced when I was 2, blah blah blah, and he was on again, off again, and that kind of thing. And then my father came into my life. I call him my father. He is my father, but my stepfather when I was 6. And you just gonna come on in here, okay? Keep on going.
Go to Blam. I just wanted to say that.
You just wanted to say that, okay? Bye. So, I ain't editing none of that out. So basically, when I became a teenager around the age of, I guess right around high school age. Yeah, right around high school age, 9th and 10th grade. Ooh, I became I was running around. I think I shared that in the last one. I got to keep up with what I was sharing in the last video. But I was fighting people all the time. I fought so much. I was an angry little girl. I was angry, and I fought so much. The Prince George's County schools, said that if I had another fight, that I would be put out of the Prince George's County school system. Not just out of the school that I was at, but the PG County schools, okay? Because I was skipping class, finding, hanging out with the wrong people. We would leave in school in the middle of the day, coming back before it was time to leave school and get back on the bus and go home. And, just doing all the wrong things. It's a wonder that I wasn't smoking weed and drinking, and so I wasn't doing none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't encounter that. But I was very mouthy. I was very attitudinal, and I didn't want nothing to really do with anybody, with school or whatever. I mean, I had my friends and stuff, but I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. Period. Right? And so. Eventually, my parents took me out. When that happened, my parents took me out of, and when I say my parents, I'm really talking about my mom and my stepfather, took me out of that high school and put me in a private school that was much smaller. And for real, I think that they probably just were used to taking kids. I mean, it wasn't a school for problem kids, but I think that they had their fair share, though. You know what I'm saying? And it was the kind of school where you could go outside in class and sit on the grass and do your work. You know what I mean? You didn't have to follow as many rules. It was much smaller. And I remember before I left, but I was having, even in elementary school, middle school, I was doing that. When I left elementary school, I was in a private school in DC, and I don't know why, I was fighting there all the time too. And then my parents put me in the public school in the neighborhood. And I remember my mother saying to me, "You can go here and have a whole new you. You can flip the script. Nobody knows you here. Nobody knows your history. They don't know anything about you." And I really took that to heart. And I had been messing up and fighting and whatever, not getting the best grades at the previous elementary school. And anyway, went there and totally flipped the script, got straight A's, whatever. So that was my first experience with being able to shape my reality and to create my reality. But I share all of that to say that, like, I did have a tumultuous childhood in terms of my internal world. So I had my mom and my stepfather who were pastors who really gave me a lot of balance and a lot of grounding. But of course, they can't make up for the loss of the relationship with my biological father or the inconsistency or what have you. My mother and my stepfather also worked a lot. They were pastors. They were gone a lot. So there was a lot of unavailability with them as well. But they did the best they could. Everybody did the best they could with what they could. And I'm clear about that. But as I met my husband today, he was my boyfriend then. I met him, we, got together. And I started dating him, and I went away to college, and he stayed there in Maryland. I went to Atlanta. We had cheating going on. He was doing that as well, but usually it was me he was responding to. I remember cycles of that over and over again, where I was dealing with somebody else, had somebody else on the phone. Now, on some level, I was in college, You know what I'm saying? Like, you're young, we're far away from one another. I do recommend that, people kind of use that space and time to explore yourself, to date people, to not set yourself up that way. But at the same time, first of all, I usually was not having it. His name was Tony then, and he was like, you my girlfriend, right? So I had a boyfriend at school at Clark Atlanta. I had him at home. He was dealing with girls at Bowie State or whatever. We had all that going on, but for real, had I not been showing up the way that I was, I know he would not have been kind of doing some of his stuff and some of his dirt. And that's not to take responsibility off of him. I just know that I set the tone because I I had a lot of emotional distance. Like, he was the one who I had shown myself to the most, who I had been open the most with. I felt him more deeply than I had ever felt anybody, but yet I wasn't comfortable with this level of intimacy that this man was bringing me. Like, this ride or die, I love you to death type energy. And in fact, when I think about the way I showed up, not just in intimate relationships, always kind of distant, like, I'm gonna get your ass before you get me. Like, I might be feeling you, but I ain't never tripping, right? Like, always this level of guardedness, this wall. I think about that within the context of even friendships, never really fully sharing of myself, only sharing in a certain way, or being in the person who people shared with. And then I might give thoughts or advice or what have you. And I wasn't doing that consciously or on purpose. I just didn't open myself up. That is learned behavior. And so when I think about the way that being a little girl, and having a father who was inconsistent in his show up and almost non existent in his emotional show up, I became that way. I became inconsistent in my show up for my relationships. There's some habits I still have to work on today in terms of staying connected to people, staying engaged in the relationship, staying emotionally present. And that's something that I learned. That's a habit, it's a habit that I learned because the kids do what our parents do. And he wasn't real with me, and he wasn't sharing no emotions, and we kind of stayed surface. And so that's what I learned. And I just want to say this. Not only did I learn that, and that showed up in terms of some of the ways that I dealt with boys and men, and my boyfriend who became my husband, but there's so many ways that kids interpret an absent father. Like, I must not be worth staying for. Sometimes these things aren't conscious. We don't necessarily remember them when we get older, but they are things that we may experience in our heart. I must not be worth staying for. It's my fault that he wasn't here, that he didn't stay. Love is unreliable. I can't rely on love. Men are unreliable. Men will eventually leave, right? Maybe if I succeed enough, if I perform enough, if I achieve enough, if I do enough, I can finally be lovable. These are very deep, unconscious kinds of things that our unconscious takes in. I'm safer not needing anyone. I know that was one for me. I'm safer not needing anyone. I got me. I'm good. One of the strengths that has come out of my father-daughter relationship, and some of the emotional unavailability generally from both of my parents, is a very, very strong sense of being able to get shit done for myself. And so it's not all bad, right? But I've had to learn how to ask for help from others. I've had to learn how to let other people in, because much safer, much easier. I know a lot of people will resonate with that, just doing it my damn self, right? Needing someone, whether it be a father, a friend, love, right, feels weak. And, just rather not go there. I never said that, but that is oftentimes how folks, and kind of deal with this father absence. I can't miss what I never had. I can't tell y'all how many times I heard that, right? I said that earlier. I can't miss what I never had. I don't need a father. Like, when I hear that stuff, I'm like, whoa, there's a deep level of hurt there. And so when we get in relationships with men, let me look at my notes here. I had quite a few things. I'm going to talk about the ways that for me that this showed up, right? Like how this relationship with my father, my biological father, um, how how it shaped how I dealt with young men and my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, right? Needing to control everything. Oh my goodness, needing to control everything because that's how I keep myself safe. And so many of you have heard me say this in times past, but this need to control everything is a defense mechanism. It is a trauma response because we don't want to be hurt again. So it becomes something that happens out of ourselves to keep ourselves safe, and then it becomes a habit. Being walled off, being guarded in your relationships. You can be married and be completely walled off and don't recognize how you show up and how you don't show up for your spouse in your relationship, right? Or on the other end of the spectrum, over accommodating, right? Like tolerating poor treatment in order to earn love, in order to stay safe, thinking that you'll keep everything okay if you just, accommodate and be a good wife. Choosing emotionally unavailable partners. I see so many women who choose emotionally unavailable partners and struggle and have this hard time with the husband that they have, trying to get him to turn toward them, all of these things. And you picked your daddy, the one who didn't turn towards you, and you're trying to work that stuff out in your relationship, right? There's so much there, y'all, so much there. And when we can heal that stuff, we will not attract to us someone who does not have the ability or capacity to give us what we need. We will have worked our daddy stuff out and not be trying to work it out in the relationship with our spouse. For me, a big one, for a lot of folks, but for me, a huge one was avoiding emotional intimacy. That being seen, that being super vulnerable, being open to being judged, or maybe even feeling like you might crush me with the way you see me, or if you really fully see me, you might crush me. That's the best way I can. I mean, you to be in a place where you can fully see me, see all my shit, and know me, and see my missteps and my vulnerabilities, my imperfections, right? Because I like to be right. I like to have it together, so I don't want to not have it together. It means I have to be open to being emotionally intimate, to being seen fully. And I'm still learning that. The one person that I fully do that with is my husband. Oh, I thank you, God, for my husband. But I'm still learning to do that in my relationships today. That is something I've had to relearn because I didn't come into the world like that. But just be encouraged that you can relearn it too, right? Trying to hold it all together, the over functioning in relationships is another way that young people can interpret that their lack of having a relationship with their dad, and then end up over functioning later on, or testing. I mean, I know I did some testing. I did some serious ass testing with Aize, pushing him away. Right? I wasn't consciously testing, but I realize now that's what I was doing to see if he really loved me. Would he really stay? Because all I had experienced with my biological father, at least, is that he was not reliable. And it's the same way in our friendships. I see people sometimes who attach very quickly, or maybe sometimes people stay a little bit too distant, stay a little too surface, just don't lean in enough. That has been me. Stay a little distant. As a learned behavior. Like, hey, how you doing? I'm a Leo. I know how to engage and what have you, but I've met people, right, where they meet me and we like have a connection. We kind of hit it off and have a great conversation, and then they're just like super, like, I don't know. And I'm not judging, but like, just like, really, I mean, what they're trying to do is build a relationship, right? Like, hey, girl, let's get together. Let's go do this. Hey, what you doing? Call you on the phone. Like, get you a card because I was just thinking about your girlfriend, and I'm like, Oh, okay. This is a bit much. And it's not that it is a bit much. I'm very self aware. It's just that that's outside of my norm. So I'm growing in that way. And I thank God that I am growing in that way, because the more that I open myself up to that kind of deep sister love, and to that, for me and for some of y'all, kind of awkwardness, like, damn, back up. You know what I'm saying? And then I said, oh, Iana, surrender. You need to be open. I correct myself. Right? The more I do that, the more I am in love with sisterhood, the more I'm in love with myself and my ability to really connecting with other people. And I'm experiencing connection in ways that I have never experienced it. Never. Because the way that I experienced it with my husband, that's one way, but that's not all the ways. And so there's so much that we get walled off from, that we don't get to experience in our life because of the absence of our fathers. We don't even recognize how we might isolate or not want to burden other people. You know, there's self-worth issues, not feeling good enough, feeling something must be wrong with you, over identifying with achievement or performance. Oh, I've been there, because I like to do well, right? Over identifying with that, because that becomes our identity, because there's some core belief that we have to earn worthiness. We're not just worthy on our own. We just can't simply receive that we're worthy on our own, because we never had a feeling like that as a 4-year-old, as a 5-year-old. We had a feeling that something was off, something was missing. So then that leads to things like chronic comparison to other people, right? Subtle self-sabotage, right? Oh my goodness, I know about that self-sabotage, y'all, especially in moments of growth or intimacy. And I definitely experienced that in my relationship with my husband. And underdeveloped ability to empathize. Let me look at some of my other notes. I got so much here, y'all. Tendency to intellectualize. I have been an intellectualizer for a long time, but I have gotten away from that. But certainly, if I'm, super emotionally uncomfortable, I'll go right to intellectualizing. Any intellectualizers in the house, just drop it on in there. An intellectualizer, right, is somebody who stays heady. You stay in your head and you're not really in your emotions. And you might really be quick thinking, witty, able to process and connect things and really make sense. That's not what's needed. And see, that impacts our relationships, because when your partner needs you to feel them, you analyze them. When they need you to hear and understand the situation, you examine and break it down, and that's not what's needed. That might be needed in another situation, but we've got to learn how to come out of that, and that's a learned behavior. My therapist told me that when I was going to therapy back as a teenager. You sure do intellectualize a lot. You're quite the intellectualizer, and intellectualizing is a way to keep our feelings away. It's a way to keep us from feeling our feelings fully, if at all. Because if we do that, then we don't have to feel the pain. We don't have to feel the hurt. We don't have to feel the threat of the feeling. But the more you start to expose yourself to being vulnerable, the more you realize, like, oh, I'm not going to die. I'm going to be all right. I won't die from shame. I won't die from awkwardness. I won't die from feeling completely overwhelmed, feeling insecure or incapable. In fact, when I say those words, when I say it out of my mouth, and I'm honest about that in any given situation, be it in my relationship or at work or in a friendship situation, oh my goodness, I get free a little bit, because I just name it, and then I can look at it, and then I can make space for myself, and then I can have some compassion for myself, and I can show up the way that I need to show up. Oh my goodness, y'all. Vulnerability, right? Vulnerability. A lot of folks have a hard time with that. Strong resistance to emotional exposure. Strong resistance. And the only way that you can start to break down that strong resistance, that not wanting to have the conversation, not wanting to go there, not wanting to be fully seen, not wanting to go to therapy, not wanting to go to coaching, not wanting to get into it, not wanting your partner to really know all the details, is you have to first see yourself. If you can see yourself and practice seeing yourself over a period of time, feeling all the feelings that will come up, the uncertainty, the fear, the hurt, the shame, the pain, right? Then the more you get used to that and you start to process that and make peace with that, then it'll be easier for you to invite other people in. The reason that I am doing this series, the reason that I can share the way that I share, is because I am practiced sitting with my pain. Oh, thank you, God. I practiced that thing. And I am nowhere near perfect, but I practiced enough to be able to sit with it, be able to look at it, be able to laugh at it, and now be able to share it. And because I have gotten to a place where I am not judging myself, I can let it be open, I can let it free, because it is what it is. It is what it is. We don't have to assign any kind of label to it. We don't have to do that. It is so good to share my story. It is so good to be able to see the ways in which I developed some really funky ass coping mechanisms, some ways of being that really have kept me from being fully connected in my relationships, intimate and otherwise, friendships, even family relationships. It's been so good to see myself so that I could start to rewrite my narrative, so that I could start to redo and rewire my brain. And I just want to invite you, as I get ready to come to the close of an almost 30-minute video for this part 2, didn't know it was going to go this long, to think about the impact of the relationship you have with your father. What are you seeing now? Some of y'all, because I'm working with folks right now, and some of y'all may be watching this and you know what I'm talking about. But whether you're working with me in a one-on-one way or not, some of us right now, you have work to do, and you have to get this work done. And the only way you can do the work in your relationship, in your marriage, or maybe even in your attempt to find the one that's right for you, to attract the right mate, the only way you can do that work is to sit with self. That's the only way. You can't externalize and keep going and talking about him. You can't do that. You've got to look at yourself. You've got to be able to connect these dots, and you've got to make room for that to be digested in your spirit. And you've got to be able to not only understand it psychologically and emotionally, which is what we talked about here today, but you've also got to be able to know what to do with that spiritually. And I'm going to talk about that in this series as well. What do we do with it spiritually? How do we collaborate with God? How do we do it? The truth is, y'all, the truth. My goodness, this feels so good to me. Look, didn't I tell y'all when I started out, I didn't want to do this? I was like, I don't feel like recording this, and now I'm feeling cozy. I don't know why it made me want to go get a glass of wine. I might get a glass of wine after this to treat myself. Because for me, even sharing in the way that I am is a faith step for me. It is a faith step for me. And so I'm proud of myself. But no matter how much, y'all, no matter how much we overfunction, no matter how much you may overachieve or stay busy or stay strong or do whatever you do, whatever the result is of this relationship, right? All of these things that I've talked about today, they live in the body. They live in the body. They live up in your heart. They show up in how you love. They show up in how you trust, and how you give, and how you rest, and in how you see yourself. They show up. But the beautiful thing, the beautiful part is that healing is possible. Healing is a choice. God doesn't pass out healing like a lottery ticket, like you get one today, or you had to be at the Oprah show when she was giving out the cards, like you get a blessing and you get a healing and you get a healing, but sorry, ain't no more healings being given out. You get to create it. Thanks be to God. You get to create your healing. New patterns can be created. I am going to be next month in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee with women at my retreat who keep coming up in this room. Day, go back out. Go back out. But I closed the door. Really, bruh? Close the door. Taking me all off my flow. But I'm doing a retreat next month, and these women know that it's about the time they take with themselves. Because one of the greatest gifts that you can give to yourself is learning how to live connected, learning how to live open from a place of surrender and aligned with what God would have for you instead of just surviving. This is what I want for everybody. Anybody I come into contact with, every woman, every man, to live in that place, to know it, to know what it feels like. That's what I want for you. Do like Oprah, and you, and you, and you. And every sister watching this, every brother watching this. And that's why I am sharing this series, so that you can see what is possible. You can see what is possible. All right. It's powerful, y'all. And I hope that you got something from today. Be well. Stay tuned for part 3, which will be coming out next week. And I'll see you then. Peace and blessings.